Alright, so I am now, I'm going to try and do a tutorial on how to set up teleporting in Unity for the HTC Vive. I'm using SparkoCam. For some reason I'm unable to remove the watermark even though I have the registration number, so I'll work on that. Anyway, and I'm going to go into my desktop so that you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to launch Unity and make sure that you have the 2018.2 18F1 version. That's very important for this tutorial to work. And I'm going to start a completely new project to show how you might do it too. So I'm going to call this Teleporting at Rosebud, and the location is in my SteamVR, and I'm going to add as an asset package the SteamVR plugin, and that should work for now. Otherwise, when you go in, you'd have to download it, and I'll show you how you do that in a second, how you download the SteamVR plugin. So it takes a few seconds. Now, if you're using an earlier version of Unity than the latest, or an earlier version of the SteamVR plugin than plugin version 2.0, or anything that is older than say this week when you're watching this, then you'll need to download the new stuff and start from scratch, because they've made a lot of changes, and those changes are considerable, and even in the way that you think about doing the bindings of the controllers, all that has changed completely. So I was doing tutorials where I was learning to write scripts for Unity and the VR system, and it was not working at all, because I was using the new version of the plugin, the new version of Unity, and the new version of Vive, and it doesn't play with any of the previous stuff. And there aren't a lot of tutorials out there for the newer stuff. So this 2018 or late 2018 VR plugin 2.0 is much different. So if you're experiencing a lot of frustration, as I was, then it's because you're using an old model. And I'm brand new to this, so this is very difficult for me. And you're seeing how long it's taking for this to boot up. It does take quite some time for the SteamVR system, when you start for the first time, to put in all those plugins, and there's a lot of assets for examples. So we're getting there. I do like the way that I can switch back and forth in this. Okay, so let me bring this over here and bring you down to the desktop there, so you can see now that this has launched. There's Unity. Now you should have the SteamVR plugin in your assets here. Okay, and if you didn't have that, if you just opened up Unity, you could go to the asset store and you could type in SteamVR and get the plugin. If you click on plugin and then you import, then it will import all of this into your project area. But I've already done that. So that's the package, and it's got all this neat stuff in it. So the first thing that I do to test to make sure everything is working, because often it doesn't work, is I get rid of, well, let me show you. I'll keep the main camera in for a second and show you how it doesn't work with it. But I'm going to create a plane, so I'll go to 3D Object and Plane, and in the inspector I'll make sure that the position is at 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to make the plane bigger. I'm going to scale it to 2, 2, 2. Alright, and then I'm also going to give it a color, because white is pretty blaring. Now in their materials folder in SteamVR, they don't have much in the way of materials for this plane. So I'm going to see where I put this. Actually, this new scene that I'm creating also needs to be saved first thing. So let me do save scene as, and I'm going to make this, it's in my Steam VR folder, in a folder called Teleporting at Rosebud. I'm going to open my scenes folder, ignore the sample scene, and call this Teleporting at Rosebud. And that will be the scene that I'm creating. And then when I look at scenes, it's here as Teleporting at Rosebud. Okay, so that's where I'm in. But I'm then going to go into the Steam VR folder, and the first thing, as I said, I'm going to do, although actually this should go back in the scene itself, I'm going to create a material, and so I'll go create and material, and that new material I will call test plane. And I'll come up here and I will pick a color for the test plane. Let's take a sort of reddish color just for the heck of it, and then drag that onto the plane so that I can see it like this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go into Steam VR and go to plugins. Wrong, didn't mean plugins, I meant prefabs. No, I didn't actually. Yes, there are prefabs there. There's so many folders here to get confused with. We want to go into the interaction system, because in that Steam VR folder, interaction system is where the that's for teleporting. No, excuse me again. Let me see. It's not in this plugins, prefabs. Not in this prefab. It is in interactive system core prefabs. All right, so that's what you want to get to. Interaction system, because they have all the scripts bundled. Otherwise, you have to write them yourself and bind them yourself, and that's a pain. So you're going into interaction system core prefabs, and there you'll find player. And when you click on that little arrow there, it shows you player has a bunch of different stuff within it, a bunch of prefabs within a prefab. But drag that player in and place it. Place it, but again, your best position is 0, 0, 0, and you can hold the Alt key down and the left mouse button to rotate your world like that. And then anytime you've selected something, if you hit F, you zoom in on it. Alright, so I want to make sure that that player is not going down beneath the line here. So the Y position is raised up just a bit, 0.249, but you can see that here by moving that little camera icon. So what this does by putting the player in is when you look at the player and you open up the little triangle there, you'll see the player has Steam VR objects. It has a left hand and a right hand, and those should correspond to your controllers, the left hand and the right hand, and so there's that. But you won't be able to find them when you open up and you start playing, because you've already got a main camera in here, and this has got a VR camera within the player. So if you keep the main camera here and then you launch your game, the problem is going to be, whoops, let me get back to desktop. Okay, when you launch, it's going to say, it looks like you haven't generated actions for Steam VR input yet. Would you like to open the Steam VR input window? And you should say yes to that. And then it looks like you haven't generated actions for VR input. It says it again, say yes. Then it says it again, say yes, say yes. Keep saying it till it says it looks your project is missing an actions.json. Would you like to use the example file? And you do, so you say yes. And then it's going to generate a screen like this that shows, this is the new thing about Steam VR 2.0, it shows the action sets that have various actions: squeezing, posing, grabbing, gripping, teleporting. For example, these are all suggested, not mandatory. They're Booleans, meaning it's either you do teleport or you don't. You do or you don't grab, you do or you don't. Posing is suggested, the type is a pose, skeleton left hand, all suggested, but there's special scripts for that. Squeezing is a vector because you can squeeze a little bit, you can squeeze a lot, and it's continuous. It's not yes or no like a Boolean for squeezing a trigger. But teleporting is Boolean, it shows here, and so is interacting with the UI. So you have all of these, and you can, I don't know how you unselect here. I don't want to click any of those. But so what you're going to do is you're going to go save and generate. Let me just refresh for a second. There we go. And I think that that lets us take all of the default action sets. And you say save and generate, and it's going to take some time to save and generate actions and action class sets classes. But by doing this, you don't have to do any scripting or any connection of the scripting with the VR controllers or the headset, because it is going to do that for you. Then it says, do you want to save the changes for your scene? And you say yes, and it generates scriptable objects, and it assigns the actions to behaviors. It's doing all this for you so that you can get right in to start developing. And once that's done, you can move this over and out of the way. And now when you hit play and you turn on your hand controllers, they should turn on. And now I'm in the world, but where are my controllers? And you can see the hand controllers. There they are, waving. Wave at your hand controller. See me moving my hand controller up and down, and it's way off in the distance, and its shadow is down there. And the same thing with this left controller, which you can see me moving up in there in the air. And that was confusing to me at first, because as I move around with my head, you can see that. And let me show you what I'm actually doing out here by turning on the webcam. So I have this, and as I turn this, the field of view turns, and these were the controllers I was waving up and down like this, but they're way off in the distance. And that's because the camera, we'll go back to desktop here, that's because the main camera up here is still in the scene, and player has his own camera, which is in Steam VR Objects, the VR camera. So what you've got to do, and I'll turn that off again, you got to get rid of that main camera. That main camera was way in the distance. When I hit the F key, you can see where the camera was. Now, if I move that camera forward so that it is looking at my objects, right, then my camera, this main camera is right up there. So now when I hit play, you'll definitely see the objects. Now there's my controllers, you see. But that's not going to let you do any playing. All right? So that's the problem with having the main camera still in. So all you want to do then is delete that main camera. Goodbye, main camera. Because now when you do it, the player himself has a camera. So if I hit play now, showing that this is the player, then what happens is I'm right on my controllers. And those bindings that we did, those bindings were the actions that were generated are what let your controllers look like this. All right, so we're in the world, but now we can't do anything in the world yet. So let's go to the next step in this, and I'm going to save, of course, as you should do. So the player's working. That's nice. Now, what I'm going to do is go to that part of the, I'm going to close core. I don't need core for the second. Under interaction system, go down to teleport and open that folder up. And in there are prefabs, and the prefab you want to add is teleporting. So we want the player to be able to teleport. So I'm going to take teleporting and drop that into my scene. And there's nothing, there's telephoning pointer and debug and audio sources and cool things in there. But having that teleporter in here means that now if I take the teleporting point prefab, I can place that into my plane. So let me look straight down on the plane and place these teleporting places around me, one in front of me, and make a kind of bridge. because you can't teleport that far. The range of the teleporter, if you've ever played in the HTC Vive games, the range isn't that great. So you'll put your points in various locations going out to the edge. And we'll see if we can use all these. So you set your points wherever you'd like to be able to teleport. And maybe that's enough for now. And hit play. Now what you'll see is you'll see that you have your hands, and when you click on the middle button, you get your teleport, and it turns green when you go into, you have to find a place to teleport. I can get that far to the edge of the world, and then say go to there, and then I can actually look down off the edge of the world. Alright, so all those teleporting points are now set up. So we can successfully teleport around the world. Yay, that's fun. To make it a little more dramatic, you can add objects. Obviously, if you come in and you create a 3D object and you put in a cube somewhere in your world, and maybe also create a 3D object and put in a sphere and put that somewhere in your world, and let me hit the Alt key with the left mouse button and put the sphere down on the ground, and grab the cube and put it down on the ground. Alright, then of course when you go in the game you have some objects that you can teleport to. Like there is the cube, and I can go and stand right in front of the cube. Or I can turn around and look at the sphere, and it has those nice sort of portal sounds already in it. I've got to turn around there. Oh, there's my... I don't have my headset on right now, so if I really put the headset on, I can turn it around, and there's my cube over there. And, aha, okay. So now that I have the thing on. So that gives you an idea of the world that you're in. But now I can't do anything with this cube yet. There's no interaction. We're going to get there eventually. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to put in Rosebud Continuum. And this takes a bit of time. I should bring my Blender file in, and it takes a while because it's a big Blender file. However, I do believe that I have it in some other assets. Do I have it? Where do I have it? Prefab models. Let me put this on pause. Does this let me do pause? No, it doesn't let me do pause. Okay. So let me see here in assets I can import an asset, and I have from one of my earlier games, teleporting project, I have under these assets Rosebud with trees and mods. So I'm going to drag this, or rather click on it, and it's going to come in, and it takes a good while to bring in a big Blender file. That's one of the issues here, is you're going to be waiting for quite a bit of time. So don't despair when you do it. It looks like your machine just sits there and freezes when you're bringing in a Blender file. But that's one way to do it. Bring in the Blender file. And while we're waiting for that to come in, I can show you a few other things about SparkleCam, which is things like that you can mirror the video, that you can do picture-in-picture and recording, that you can select different devices, like the HTC Vive could be a device, but it doesn't have a camera. So there's that. that you can put in a Canon camera, a Nikon camera. You can play a video in here and record a video. You can bring in pictures. You can have a blank image. It has cool effects like face accessories. I don't know when you'd ever use them, but you can. So neat things like that are found in this, if that's what you're into. Eyes and hats. So there's some fun things that you can do with this. Hi there! Okay, so let's go back to our, oh, and it has a green screen, by the way, which is great that you can do green screen stuff. So, actually let me turn off the overlay and the effects of face accessories off. And let's see, it is bringing, now it's bringing in my my scene, and what you see when it's bringing that in, if I go back to the desktop, you see it says hold on, and it's bringing in the file. One thing I don't understand about Unity is file management very well. Everything has to be in certain folders. This does take a long time. I guess one of the things that I could show while this is still taking its time is if I do go to green effects, I go to scene, green screen, where is it? Clear color, distortions, green screening. So if I do this and I go to my device and go to webcam, there's the green screen behind me. There I am, and there's the green screen. So when I'm in green screen, if I pick a color and I pick that as the color, then whatever image I want to put in the background, I can put in here. So if I put in this city image, then there it is right behind me. And so that's cool for doing live green screening. And it doesn't have to be green, of course. Any color can be made to be the green screen, but if it's not green, then you get this weird stuff like that. So it is better if you pick green screen for that. And it's still taking forever for my blend file to load. So you'll have to fast forward through this. Anyway, that's the green screening function that they have. You can loop a background video, etc. Alright, looks like my I can turn off green screen now. Go back to device, go to desktop, and it looks like Unity is up. Alright, what it did, and this is if you can see this. What it did is it brought in Rosebud as a blend here, and this now can be dropped into the scene. As you can see, I can lift it up and in, or I could just drop it in here anywhere I like. And now when I've done that, it comes in, but it got really distorted, like these beehive boxes are now absolutely huge, and they shouldn't be so huge. So I got to get rid of a bunch of stuff that is really going to mess things up. So it looks like all this union stuff is has got to be deleted, and I'll have to rebuild those, or I could have shrunk them, but they're all sort of messed up. And then the other part of it is this group 2, and I'm going to have to eliminate a bunch of groups, and it's a waste of time in a lot of ways. So maybe I'll just, but you have to find out what group is what. So hit delete on that, hit this, and go down. Outside frame needs to be taken out. The plane for Rosebud is now going to be called plane Rosebud ground. The other plane here, I think, is the beehive, and these are the roads. If you hit F, you can sort of zoom up, and now if I hit Alt and go down, this is the road for that plane, and that plane, and that. So there's a couple planes that make up the roads, these two here, and so I'm going to call this, this looks like, this is plane road 1, and then this will be driveway, I guess. Plane driveway. Alright, now this big dragon's head is a mess, group 0 with its tongue, so I'm going to get rid of that and delete. How do I get delete that? So goodbye that. That's just leaving this one big thing here, which is this group 8. Delete that, and I got to delete these as well. And the rest of group 9 as well, and 10, and it looks like 11 are all stuff that were unnecessary. Alright, that gives me then Rosebud. And let's see where the other plane was. So all the other trees are in there, so close that. And then this plane here, where we did our teleporting with our spots, is still there. Looks like our tower gardens are way too big over there, but we should try and play. So I'm going to hit save scene and then hit play, and let's see if we can teleport around here. So when I put on the goggles, I'm on top of the building of the bishop's house. I have to press the buttons on my controllers to wake them up. And then when I press teleport, now I'm teleporting right down to the property by the biodigesters there, although they look really strange. Parts of them are missing. But an IBC tank. And where else can I teleport to? There's a teleport location. So that puts me here. There's a teleport location there. Can teleport to here. Teleport under the tree again. Teleport way over here and be able to look at the back to look at our greenhouse and our Indian teepees. So now it's a matter of setting up the different teleport locations. But at least we can move around now. Right into the house again. By the house. Those big tower gardens there need to be shrunk down and moved. And there's that ball that we set up earlier and a giant woman way over there. If I go here, then I'm looking at the property. There's the beehive over there floating in the air. Things are definitely not right yet. But then there's that sphere we put in before. But at least we know now that we can teleport around. However, as you can see, our teleport locations are too high, and also we're giants. And we don't want to be that. So, take off the headset and put it down. Stop play. So, one of the things that we can now do is to shrink the size of the player. The player is 1, 1, 1 in scale. And I've found that about 0.3, 0.3, and 0.3 makes a better scale. And the location in Y now, of course, is going to be a little bit different. And let me move the player's start position to just in front of the biodigester here. So let me go to look at the down view and hit F to zoom in on him. Whoa, he's under a tree. Don't want to have him under a tree. Let me move him back here and over there until we're right in front of the digester. Oh, and this woman here, she's got to go. What is she? She's instance 0. So I'm going to take all the instances that are part of Giant Lady there And that came into SketchUp, and get rid of that. And now come into Player and hit F and Alt and left mouse button. You can see that the player's bottom is way below ground now and has to be lifted up. And so what I want to do is make sure that I'm just selecting the player and lift the player up above the ground. And it would help if there was some texture on this ground here. And one way that I can get the texture in there is by dropping it in. I have it in a folder as, I believe I have it in here. It was called, it was in Materials, I believe. Yeah, it's called Rosebud from Air. And so if I bring Rosebud from Air and put that in Materials here, and then drop that, well, that material didn't have any information on it. Okay, let me see if I have in Materials, what else did I have? Rosebud from Air Meta. That didn't do anything. Okay, then in that case, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to go into Rosebud Continuum and take the actual JPEG, which is Rosebud from Air, and put that in here. And can I drop that in? Yes, all right. So that makes it, that's the Google image that I have made that fits in with this. So now let's see what happened as we hit play. We're a bit smaller now. We're 1/3 the size. And we're below ground. Oh, all right. Well, it's nice that you can see the 3 digesters over there. The first one being above ground, the second half buried, and the third buried in the buried IBC. But that doesn't help us yet. So let's turn this off and go to our player and bring our player up there. See, so when you have a ground plane with some color in it, it makes it a whole lot easier to see where your player is, to see if your player is above ground or below ground. Now, when I hit play and I put on my headgear, I'm a little too high still, but at least now I can look for my teleporting places. That one you can see is too far away to get to from here. Now that I'm tiny, this one I can get to. But that one I can get to. That one I can get to. So this feels a little bit more natural. I can get to that one now. This fence obviously is distorted. There's OJ the cow over there. So let me see, if I want to make a teleport point to get over and look at the cow, then I need to place one by the cow. So I take off my headgear once again and go over here. And now I look for the cow. There's the cow right there. I select the cow and hit F, and now I'm right up on the cow. So when I go to my teleport and prefabs thing, there's a teleport point. I just drag the teleport point right next to the cow, like so. And now when I hit play, can I get that far? Let's see, maybe it's way too far. Ah, it is too far. If I go back to there, no, can't get to that. I can go to that one, can't get there, can't get there. I need one more teleport point in between, right there. So let's try that again. So we will now take a teleport point and we'll shift over to here, put a teleport point over there. So you're building these bridges. I'll put one there too. I also want one down by the raised beds in the greenhouse, maybe one on the other side of the greenhouse. It's wherever you want to walk to, and if I want to go look at the beehives, I'll do there. Now I should be able to, and I should make this full screen. So let me see, maximize on play. Let's do this again. Maximize on play should have been hit There we go. Okay, so now when I go to there, I get to there, then I can stand right next to OJ the cow. If I want to get over to the tower gardens, the raised beds, the greenhouses, there's my tower gardens there. Get over to that part of the property. I notice that there's a lot of things I need to do, a lot of construction. So there's solar panels on the roof there, and I get back there. I guess I can get back there to get over. There's the cow over there, and there's that IBC tank that I want to raise. Can't cast this net that far, so I'd have to make there to get around under the shade of trees. So there's that. Now the goal of my game would be to be able to raise up, for example, or move the IBC tank from within the game without coming out of the game. For right now, when I want to raise it, I click on it and I move it up onto the ground like so. But and then I have I was supposed to put another teleport point because it was a bit hard to get around there. So really put teleport points everywhere is the idea. And now when I go back in the game, the IBC tank is above the ground rather than, and I can stand right next to it. Now, part of the goal of the game would be to teach people how to build a IBC tank Solar Cities biodigester by putting pipes in and manipulating the things. That's the goal, to teach how to build the pushins and to teach how to do raised beds. And that's the next thing I'm going to start looking at. But at least now we know that we can move around the Rosebud property. And then we still got to get rid of that. That's not there. Make the house more realistic and put the trailers. And put the tower gardens where they belong. But that's the idea. It's beginning to work out. And if you could really zoom in, you would see that we're standing on a Google Earth image of the actual property. I don't know if there's a way. There might be a way, yes, to do a teleport point to outer space to look down. So let me try that as the last thing that I'm going to try here. And that would be to come in and put a teleport point sort of up in space, looking down over the property. But I might have to build a staircase of some kind because it might be impossible to get that high up. So maybe if I put this and sort of stagger it like a game, it is a game, going like this. Maybe I'll need one more like that. Let's see, if we look down, they seem to be in the sort of same position. So now, when I hit play, let's see what happens. Put on my headset, look around, and oh, there they are, way up there. Oh, so let's see, so maybe I have to start here, then go to there, and I get up. Oh, it doesn't let me. Okay, well that's impossible. Can't get to a portal there. Maybe if it was lower. I guess I'm really going to have to build a bridge to do this. So, because you can't cast these up, it turns out. Alright, let's try this. We are going to have to we're going to have to move these teleport points so that they're just like little staircases. And somebody out there knows, and I could figure out, I suppose, how much distance you need to have in order to make it work like a staircase. Let's see if this does any better. Alright, so here we are. That doesn't let me go anywhere. Nothing there. Can't get up. There's. It will not let me. I don't think it'll let me. Yes, it will. There we go. Can I get up? So I'm a little higher, but not that much higher. So to get up a little higher than this, I need to be definitely. I definitely need to change these, bring them down, because I can get up this high above the ground, dangling my feet. Whoops. Put these on the desk here. Fascinating. So I guess you've really got to bring these down and only do incrementally higher places. Cluster them somewhat all together. So maybe if we look at it like this and we just keep placing them and then go to our side view, let's see, go to this side view and put them little by little higher and higher. Obviously this guy is way too high. And again, look at it from, it's also way over there. That shouldn't be. I need to have it much closer. A little awkward, but maybe a staircase kind of like that will let us do it. And then put on the goggles and turn around. And there's our sort of staircase. We go from there to there to there, and I'm up here, but I still didn't make it. Way too high still. Oh yes, I can get to this one, and then I can get to that one, and then I can get to that one. Oh, now it's beginning to work. All right, and you can see. Oops, it's recording. Sorry. Go to that one. Go to that one. I think I'm as high as I went. Right? That's it. That's as high as I can go. But that is cool. So now, when I stand up, I see my my bounding circle that I should be standing in. Now you can really look down and you can see the lake in Pasco, and there's Hale Road, and there's our driveway, and even the shadows of my controllers. The 3 biodigesters, the Red Hot Dragon, like that, and then there's Collier Parkway over there, and then you see the Google Earth image where the trees are. And I tried to put the trees in the locations. There's the Indian teepees. And that's what it's going to be like. And then if you want to go down, you can teleport down at any moment without doing a stepping stone. I can be in different perspectives by setting these incredible vantage points. Well, that's it for now. And I hope that you learned something from my trial and error. And that is, that's that. I'll show you, by the way, go once more to webcam over here. And so this is the setup, and it all works. So when see, that's cool about this using SparkleCam is that I can move this, make it smaller. And you can see as I move around, you can see what I'm seeing over there. So ain't that cool? Isn't that nifty? All right. Thanks, bye.